Okay, ready.
Ready? We're late to our own podcast.
Seriously, I thought I looked at the clock and it was like 10 to 2, and then all of a sudden it's 2 o'clock.
Yeah, no, it's actually 2:01. We're a little late.
Okay.
So,
Okay, back to my knitting.
and I
So,
still
what are
have
you
to
working
clean
on
my
today?
glasses. I'm still cleaning my glasses.
Well, that'll make working on your project easier anyway.
Yes, I have to see. Goodness sakes. Hot mess.
Oh,
Hot mess.
hi, Valerie. She said she can't stay, but she has to go watch errands or she has to go run errands. So, okay,
I feel
well,
like
we'll see you later. Thanks for dropping by to say hi. Hi, Marianne. Hi, Mary.
I feel like we're going to be competing. If you live in Ontario or Southern Ontario today,
We're
I
competing
feel
with the
like we're
weather
going to
for
be
sure.
competing with the weather. Um, but my feelings aren't hurt that I'm not outside doing yard work right now.
No, I'm going to be going out after this, though.
Yes.
Ross got my bike already and pumped up the tires, and I'm going to go for an actual outside bike ride.
There you go. Oh, I can see.
Hi, Klaska. There, can you see now?
I can see. I can see people are saying hello now. That's good. I've lost my knitting needle though.
Oh, hi, Louise. Oh, Wendy said it's her first time. Hi, Wendy. Glad you're
Hi,
here.
Wendy.
Oh, we have Australia. Oh, she's up early, right?
6 o'clock there.
Yeah,
I
wow.
checked.
So, yeah, Louise says she's going out to garden pretty soon.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
we
think
have
that's on
Shetland
everybody's
Islands.
agenda.
I want to go there so badly.
Oh,
We have to do that, Kelly. We have to go to Shetland Wool Week sometime. Wouldn't you like to do that?
I'd like to go every place.
Yeah. Yep.
We had a big road trip yesterday. We went all the way to Strathroy.
Oh, that is a big road trip these days.
We had to go look at fireplaces for the rec room. That's literally the longest I've been in a car in months.
Yeah.
And it was almost 45 minutes of knit time in a car. It's crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah, Louise wants to go to Wool Week with us. The
Okay.
more the merrier.
The more the merrier.
So, oh, we have lots of different places here. We have Belgium and Ontario and South Carolina, London, BC.
Wow.
Wow. Oh, and Zoe says hi again. One of these days, we're going to have Zoe on to say hi.
Absolutely.
Zoe is my granddaughter. She's 3, so that's saying hi and leaving would probably be as much as she could handle.
Hi, Nana. Gotta go.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, we've got UK. Oh,
UK.
we have Sarnia. We have a Sarnia.
Sarnia.
Well, I hope everybody's enjoying. I hope everybody's got nicer weather because it's certainly been nice to see the sun for a couple of days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
actually, it's feeling actually quite warm in the house for a change.
I
So
know. I've got the windows opened.
I didn't because I wasn't sure how much sound there would be from outside or my blinds blowing because you're downstairs, so you don't have windows to worry about
No,
downstairs.
no.
So
But it was so nice to open the windows and hear the birds outside. Cats were pretty
yes,
excited.
yes,
Molly's outside. She's
yeah,
already, Mike has already put out chair cushions for her because she
yeah,
won't just lay on the deck. She needs a chair cushion. And Roxy is already at the window staring out, meowing at things. So I'm going to take her out for a little walk after this too.
afterward, yeah. So what's everybody working on? We have to talk a little bit about the knit chat, Cal.
We do. We
We do.
do.
So anyway, what are you
Montana.
working on, Kelly?
I'm working on, oh, show you the wrong side. My scrappy blanket today.
Oh, that looks good.
Well, it's definitely scrappy. It's scrappy.
So how long ago did you start that?
Oh, maybe 2 years ago.
Well,
It's
that's the whole
bigger.
point of them, right?
Yeah, it's I don't think the point is to finish a
A
scrappy
scrappy
blanket. That's
project,
just my theory. Like
just to put your scraps in.
yeah. I think it's just a place to go with. It's a place where small balls go to die. I don't think you're
Yeah.
really supposed to finish one.
Finish
I don't
them
know.
maybe. I've
Some
never
people
started
have.
one, so
Well, some people have finished them, and I always thought that nobody had ever finished one. It's just an urban myth. But no,
oh,
some people actually finish them. I may never finish mine. I'm working on
anyway,
one
so we can see
headphone
what
here today.
people are
That's
working on. We've
twisting.
got somebody doing a summer top. This is actually the time to start doing your summer top, so they're actually done by the time it's nice to wear them. Oh,
Yes.
rocket tee. Marianne, you will love the rocket tee. I've done 2 of them, and I loved knitting it, and I love wearing them. Oh, Maria noticed that I was doing continental knitting. I have a story. Last
Okay.
week we were talking about continental knitting and doing the Norwegian purl.
Hmm.
So I watched the Arne and Carlos video, and I did a whole cuff in a sock using continental, doing knit 2, purl 1, and using the Norwegian purl. And it probably took me twice as long as it would normally take to do that, but it got
Sure.
faster as I went along.
Right.
But then I unfortunately was doing it to go with a sock that was already knit, and my tension was a little different. So it would have fit fine, but it didn't match my other tension, so I wasn't happy with it. So I ripped it out and did it the other way. But I decided
Okay.
I'm doing these socks. I didn't do the toe on the 9-inch, but I've got it on the 9-inch now, and I'm going to do the whole sock in the 9-inch circular continental. And I figure I have to get better at it if you keep doing it, right? Or faster.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
The goal isn't always speed, Noelle.
pardon me.
It really isn't. It's
I
not
don't
always
know.
speed. You don't always have to be the first to finish a sock. Sometimes it's about learning something new along the way.
It's actually fun. It was actually fun learning to do the Norwegian purl. Like it was. So,
No,
I
I was just laughing at a comment. Klaska commented, she said, you haven't taken 24 years yet. So I know that must be in reference to the quilt that it took me 24 years to finish. So she said, you have lots of time.
I haven't shown my sweater that's been sitting there waiting to be sewn up for 20 years. It's getting ripped out though. I'm not going to finish it. The sleeves are
No,
too big, too wide.
I know. Well, the quilt that's in BC that I sent out, it's hilarious. I get daily updates of where the quilt lives. Every person and dog in the house, I've seen pictures buried underneath the quilt, and it's so funny. Kendall was telling me the other night she was upstairs and it got very quiet downstairs, so she thought she'd go downstairs and check on Derek. And when she went downstairs to check on him, he was snuggled up under the
Under the
quilt on the
quilt.
couch, sound asleep. So she was like, "Oh." So she just quietly turned around and snuck back upstairs and thought she'd enjoy the bed to herself for a night, snoring free. So I said, maybe the quilt has magic powers and it's just like a sleeping pill, puts
Yeah.
everybody to sleep.
Yep.
Oh, somebody's
Okay.
making a love note.
Yeah, and
Yay!
Lisa's doing the habitation throw. That's another, I think, a fairly big project that people were doing with a lot of minis. Sarah's doing a second sock and a new sweater, Wave of Change jacket. I like that jacket. That's the one
I do
I think
too.
it's by Denise Bayron, I
Yes.
believe. Yeah, it's
Yes.
nice. Lots of people doing socks because socks are one of the easiest things to work on if you're talking, right? Especially if it's
Hmm.
just a vanilla sock, if there's no pattern in it. But
And Gwen is working on the cooped up chicken color work sweater. That's not something I'm familiar with.
no, me either.
I may have to go back and look at
And
that.
look at that, yeah. Oh, Mary's doing the ribbing under dark water, and then she's done. And then she's doing a happy dance.
Post pictures of your happy dance, Mary.
Yep. Jacqueline's doing some more socks with the Leo and Roxy Basics. But I've seen some finished ones on Instagram. They look nice. A lot of them. They look nice in the color work. They look nice in just a plain textured pattern.
Yes.
So, oh,
Sarah's
Emily's
using
doing a
yarn
fair
that
out
she
hat.
bought. Yeah, Sarah's using yarn that she bought 24 years ago. So that counts. That counts for
Yes.
sure.
Yep.
That counts. So I plan to have this square picked up before the podcast. And I don't know where the last half hour went.
Oh, Kathy's knitting a sock in Norwegian knit and purl. So I think if you haven't tried it, you should try it.
I will. I will.
Yeah, it was like I said, It was fun doing something different for a change. And I mean, I can't believe I'm doing this sock on a 9-inch needle because I swore I would never do a sock on a 9-inch needle.
Okay, I've lost my CHAOGOO 9-inch needle. I can't find it.
Really?
I'm sure I just used it recently at a project. I even tore the chair part that I usually knit in to see if it, it's tiny. Maybe it fell. I can't find it.
Well, were you doing colorwork socks?
No, I don't
Or
think
was it
so.
something was it the mitts?
I think so. But that's all been cleaned out. Like I always clean a project bag out and I put everything away. And so I honestly have no idea what I've done with it. I'm going to have to go on a deeper search. I have the Haya steel 9-inch on the way here. I was hoping it would have been here by Friday.
Yep.
But it didn't make it. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Sometime this week, I think.
Lots of people are doing the Arn and Carlos Easter egg. So they have some Easter egg patterns now like they had for the Christmas balls.
Oh.
And then they're done in spring colors.
I didn't see their podcast this week.
I didn't see the podcast, but I was watching someone else that was talking about it. It might have been Fleece and Harmony. Because I think they were doing it in some of the Rowan Summer Light colors because it was all nice, bright, like spring, like Easter colors.
Okay.
So
I'm going to have to look for that maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, Rachel's working on her fade socks.
Yes, she is.
I got something to show. So this is what I did on the way to Strathroy yesterday. I was so excited. And I thought, well, this will be great for knitting today. This will be great for knitting today.
Oh, that looks good, Kelly.
That's the Shirley Bryan yarn. So this is what I have left in colors that are going to sort of fade in to that.
So that's the deconstructed fade, right?
Deconstructed fade. But here's the thing. So my big plan was to have this to work on today because this is pretty easy for me to work on. And I got exactly to the part. So I'm doing toe up. And I got to the part where I have to incorporate the heel. And it's a really unique heel structure. I don't even know what it's called. I did it on another pair of socks, but I can't do it mindlessly. So all of this work for today, my preparation for today, didn't go as planned. But I love, love, love this yarn. This is a gift from Noelle for Christmas. It's so soft and so pretty. And I stayed up way too late last night just working on this little bit here because I wanted to see how it faded into the next color.
That color at the bottom, that color is in the fleece that I'm spinning right now. It's gorgeous. Like I've got a piece of it right here. So here's the fleece. So it's kind of got that like that yellowy. I can't there.
Oh,
it's gorgeous. Like she just has like her colors are just amazing. I think she's having another update next Sunday, the 28th.
Okay.
So.
And I know Heather is having an update today, which.
Oh, is she?
I might go in and peek at. I haven't seen it yet. So she was putting her Easter egg.
Oh, okay.
Colorway on. That's Timber Yarns. And it just came on at noon. And I haven't had a chance to hop in and have a peek. I don't know. I'm probably already too late. Her new colorways go pretty quickly.
Oh, someone says they're chicken knitting. So they're chicken knitting. And I hope they have enough yarn to finish. I think she means playing yarn chicken.
Yarn chicken.
I don't like playing yarn chicken.
My odds are not good. I'm just going to say. I would think, oh yeah, I can make this. I can't. I often lose.
Yeah.
But as I said last week, if you have a large stash, it doesn't
Rach
really
wants
matter.
to know if you want her to do your shopping. Thanks, Rachel, but I'm going to hold back for now. Got to knit up some of the yarn that I have.
I know, it's what I've been trying to do too. We all know I can't do that.
Okay, Mary wants to know, how do you fade? Well, in the socks that, if you're talking about the socks we're doing, the yarn just does that. You don't have to do anything. The yarn just gradually fades from one color to the next to the next. I think if you're doing it and you're doing it yourself, you've got to do a lot of alternating of yarns, gradually introducing one. So it's a lot easier if the dyer does it and you just have to knit.
Yeah. Well, as I was knitting her yarn, I was thinking, how does she dye this? I can't figure it out.
I don't know.
I can't figure it out. There, all cast on. Smooth sailing now.
Oh, Arn and Carlos must call it chicken knitting instead of playing yarn chicken.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Some things probably get lost in translation, right?
Yeah.
Andrea Mowry has a good YouTube on fading. And I know the Grocery Girls are doing
The comfort fade.
the Comfort Fade knit along right now, which is an Andrea Mowry pattern for a cardigan. So I'm guessing if somebody were looking for some information, that's probably pretty good. I heard, I'm just trying to think, I heard something about the fact that the Grocery Girls had been live with Andrea Mowry, and I think she was talking about her fading technique on there. So maybe that's something you could check out too, and see. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know.
I don't. That's one thing I have not ever done, a fade. Like, I've knitted the socks or the ones that fade automatically, but I've never knit a fade. I mean, I did a Slow Curves by Joji Locatelli, and there was 4 colors in it, and it kind of gradually went to the next, but nothing like put it together for a cardigan. And I mean, I don't know, I'd be like worried about having the right amount of rows for my sleeve, because I'd want my sleeves to be faded exactly the same way as the body of the sweater. So you'd have to be cutting yarn to make sure you had enough, right? Because I would not like it if my sleeves didn't match up.
I have yarn for the Stone Crop Cardi, and I plan to use, I have some Stitch Mischief for the solid color, and then I have Gainer Homestead, so, which is similar to Spin Cycle. Is it Dyed in the Wool though?
Yeah.
Which is, okay, so it's similar to the Spin Cycle. So I know that when I get down to the sleeves, I know that the colors aren't going to be the same. And I haven't cast it on for that reason, because I'm wondering, is that going to bother me?
I did the Guthrie by Caitlin Hunter, and it had this Spin Cycle that went all through, and I cut the yarns so that I would be able to match the sleeves up so that it looked cohesive across the.
Okay.
But then it depends on your fade. If your fade is like drastically different from start to finish, it's harder to do. If it's kind of more gradual and there's more of one color, it's a little easier to still make it look okay.
One lady knits small berets for the eggs that she makes at Easter.
Oh, yeah, real eggs.
Yeah, that would be so cute.
That would be.
Here's another funny story about eggs. So my son, when he was young and lived at home, he used to hijack the egg cartons. So he would take a full carton of eggs, because I always get my eggs from a farm, and then when nobody was home, he would draw things on the eggs. So some of them would have like terrified faces with little shaky hands, and some of them just had little messages, "Don't eat me." And he did this. So you'd open up a carton, and some of them would be angry. They'd be frowning at you. Egg cart art.
We used to, when we were kids, we used to dye real eggs. And that's what we hid. Not, I mean, we always got chocolate, but we didn't find chocolate. We had to find the real eggs and we ate them. And I thought they were out of the fridge all night. Back now, I'm thinking, ugh.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
I don't think so either. There, Sarah says that if you're fading on sleeves, it's a good idea to do them 2 at a time so that they match perfectly.
But that's a good, well,
That's good for matching your sleeves, but you still got to do some yarn planning to match your body, like to match the sleeves to the body.
right. But with the, okay, so I think with the spin cycle yarn, are the skeins cohesive, like from skein to skein? Because I know, like with the Gainer Homestead yarn that I have, it's similar. It's knit widths,
Mm-hmm.
and there's absolutely no rhyme or reason. So
With a
even
spin
doing,
cycle, like they're similar colors, but I know the one that I did had 3 skeins of the spin cycle in it, and there was a definite in the 3 that I had, a definite light, medium, and dark. So I kind of put them in that way. But it meant that when I got to here, I had to keep some of the, like the medium before I went into the dark. I think I used all of the first one up here, which was okay. But then when I got into here and into the medium skein, then I had to keep some for the sleeves so that I could match my sleeves to the body.
okay. Well, I
But
also think,
that was still not the same. I know what you're talking about with the gainers, all different colors in it.
right, and really, I've completely thrown us off topic. I'm not even talking about a fade anymore because
Right. Yeah.
fade,
We just want our sweaters to
a
match.
fade is where a fade is where you're using the same yarns and you're introducing the yarn colors. I went completely off track. I'm on another train. Talking about like a mosaic type stitch. So ignore everything I said in the last 5 minutes. None of it makes any sense. Sarah, that's a great idea. If you're fading yarns to do them 2 at a time, it will be perfect.
Yes.
You're exactly right.
Yep.
Exactly right.
Yeah, but even if you're doing that, even if you're fading in different yarns, you want those to fade in at the same time as you fade into the body,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, see, look how much work this was. That's why I haven't done a faded sweater.
I don't even have a row done yet, okay?
Ouch! It just banged my head. Okay, and I'm just drinking water.
I
Must
have a
be the
headache. I
sunshine.
woke
Must be
up
the
with a headache.
sunshine.
It's well, I have a headache. I woke up with it. It's getting worse as the day goes on.
Oh,
Is it the I don't know. When I get these headaches, I always feel like it's because like
barometric
the
pressure or
weather
something?
change, the barometric pressure,
Yeah.
yeah. Because
Yep.
definitely this warm front came in and like I'm feeling it right across here. So that's my excuse for my scatterbrain.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna roll with that.
Anyway, no, Valerie says that every skein of spin cycle is different.
Okay.
So it's impossible to guarantee that you get exactly the same colors in a colorway.
Okay.
So I guess for me, the best way to use it would be in a yoke so that the sleeves are just plain and I don't have to worry about things matching up below.
Right.
Well, and I mean, everybody likes different looks, right?
Yep.
So Sarah said that she made a faded sweater and city limits, which use fading marling techniques. And you do need to have your wits about you to make everything line up between sleeves and body. And I think sometimes in some of them, they put some mohair in there too, like a consistent color of mohair. And that kind of helps soften things a bit.
Okay.
Okay, so Dawn wants to know if I find it easier knitting continental or English style on a 9-inch circular. I find it easier to knit continental style on a 9-inch circular. But to be fair, I really haven't used a 9-inch circular very much. But I just find it's awkward to have the yarn in this hand. I have to take it off the needle to throw it. So it's easier continental and I can keep both my hands still on the needles.
Okay.
When you use the 9-inch, Kelly, do you throw it or do you?
I throw, unless I'm doing color work, obviously,
Okay.
because then I have two hands involved. I throw and knit continental for color work. But I really like using the 9-inch circular. I really like it. I was kind of not kind of. I'm definitely disappointed that I can't find that little chow goo. I do have another one. I actually borrowed from somebody that I haven't seen in a very long time, so I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to give it back to her. But it's a Hiya Sharp, and
Okay.
it's so sharp. And I could feel I was getting thin skin working again with the tiny needles because I also started my sweater and I'm like probably down to here on the sweater. The Celtic knot sweater. And it's so much cable fun. There's
Yeah.
it's the contiguous, is it contiguous or contiguous? Contiguous.
Contiguous.
Sleeves. So
Yes.
the cable comes down here and then all the way down the arms, and I'm having so much fun. It's like a big fat juicy cable, and I'm using Knit Companion, so it's going
Yeah.
so easy, right?
Yep.
And I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. Love the color. I did put a picture, just a beginning picture on Instagram yesterday too.
So Valerie said you can avoid the spin cycle problem. Just make your sweater short sleeves. There you go. Then you don't have to match the sleeves up to the body. And it takes less time.
Perfect. That would make problems better. Yeah.
Yep. So Louise likes 9-inch circulars too. I think it's just like anything. It's like even when I first started doing magic loop or 2 circulars, it just takes a while to get used to a different technique, right? So
right. Well, it's that way with every technique though. It doesn't matter what you start. It feels foreign the first few times you do it, and then you can't imagine. Like I used to use magic loop all the time for my socks, and I often did 2 at a time. So I'd be doing like a longer cable, and now I never do magic loop anymore. I have to say I don't like it, but maybe I bet if I picked it up and I did a couple of pairs, I'd probably say, oh, that's not so bad after all. Maybe I do like it.
Well, I do magic loop if all my sets of 2 needles are busy. Then I'll do magic loop if I'm casting something else on, but it would probably be my last choice.
Right.
So, although I do sleeves magic loop all the time.
Yes, I guess, and hats. But I mean, as far as socks, I don't do socks that way anymore.
Kathy said she had to give 9-inch circular needles another try, but she was throwing. No, I found it a big difference when I was doing continental than throwing. So hopefully that'll work.
I find them faster because since the circumference is so tight, it forces you to keep stitches right at the tips, right?
Yes,
that's where your
I know. But if I do this, if I go back to English, then I have to like take my hand off the needle, right? Because if I was normally doing it, I think it's because I kind of hold it where I've got my thumb under the thing and I go like this, but there's not enough space in the 9-inch circular to get my hand in there.
Right, but that's because of how you do, like. See, for me, like,
well, it's because of how I hold it. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll just go with continental. But we should say to people too that if you do try it, and again, it was the same thing, right, Kelly? When you first tried it, you didn't like them at all. And it was like after Natalie said you need to do a whole pair of socks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not just give up, because it is going to feel different at first.
Right. That's like me saying, oh, I don't like to continental knit on the regular because it feels awkward. And it does. It feels awkward, but it's the only way I do color work. So now when I'm using it to do color work, it feels like the most natural thing in the world. Yeah. But I still just haven't cottoned on to getting the tension around this finger the way I do when it's around that finger. It doesn't work the same. I don't know.
But I don't, well, even when I tension my yarn in this hand, I don't wrap it around any fingers. Like I just hold it.
I do when I crochet, but I don't when I knit. So I don't understand that. But again, that's because I crochet left-handed. So I do something different with my left hand, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Everybody does what works for them.
Right.
Right. There's no particular right way or wrong way. It's just whatever's going to work best for you.
Right.
But anyway, I am going to try the smaller circumference needles on sleeves. Because I do have that set. I do have a set that goes up to 3.25. I don't have the bigger set. And then you can make it like a 9-inch, a 12-inch, or a 14-inch. So that way you could go up your sleeve and just change as you need, depending on whether you're going up or down, right? Whether you need it to get bigger or smaller.
Right.
So,
I have the 12-inch sizes that I usually use for sleeves, but then once you get down to the cuff, I have to drop back to something else, right?
Yep.
So I guess if I had a set, then I'd have the shorter cables.
Yep. Yeah. I know I want
Valerie
the,
says
I
her
have the blue
arthritis
set of the
can't
Chinese,
handle.
but I want the red set.
Valerie said her arthritis can't handle it. And I've heard that too, Valerie, that if you have any kind of hand cramping or tightness or any medical reasons for knitting where you need to knit, that the smaller circumferences aren't going to work for you.
Yeah.
I never get that. I'm surprised. Well, I guess I don't knit that many hours in a day at any given time either. So that's another issue. I don't have our names up.
Oh.
Maybe I should
We didn't
change
say
our
who we
names.
were
Noelle.
either.
No, I didn't. We didn't say who we were either.
I'm Noelle.
I'm Kelly. I don't know why
There.
our names aren't up.
I don't know. Sarah says that Roxanne Richardson talks about strategies for changing knitting style. Oh, on her podcast this week. She really does have a good podcast. She's got lots of good tips and shows lots of different things. I don't know if you've ever watched that. I think it's called Brock's Knits. And she's got lots of different, she's got lots of different tutorials for different stitches, different, like Sarah says here, change what to do if you're changing your knitting style, like the best strategies to go about doing it.
Okay. Maybe I'll check that out. So it's good.
So we should talk about our knit chat, Cal.
Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we decided that for the knit chat, Cal, instead of picking one particular item for everybody to knit, we want everybody just to work on whatever they want to work on. It doesn't have to be knitting. It doesn't even have to be a fiber craft. If you're just happy sitting and having a cup of coffee or sitting and having a glass of wine and joining us, that's perfectly fine. We just want it to be like, it's Sunday afternoon and we're all getting together to hang out. If you want to knit, you knit. If you don't want to knit, you don't knit. So it's just whatever you feel comfortable with. So we're going to start a hashtag on Instagram, and the hashtag is going to be KNP 2021 Knit Chat. So go into that and post whatever you're working on. Like if you're, and especially if you are working on a project over the weeks, we'd love to see progress on it. Like what you like about it or don't like about it, or about the yarn you're using. And if you just want to show us that you're relaxing and just enjoying, that's fine too. And then every once in a while, we're going to go in and we'll pick something out of the hashtag and we'll do a prize for that. But we'll keep it on Instagram because we do a lot of things on Ravelry already. So this is just another way to kind of engage people, and maybe people that can't access Ravelry. Okay. But again, so no rules, just whatever you're doing when you come to knit with us on Sundays. So, sometimes you might be ripping out something. So
sometimes
ripping out something with friends is more fun than ripping out something by yourself.
Sometimes you spend an hour knitting on Knit Chat, and then you spend an hour after Knit Chat ripping out, right, Noelle?
Yeah, sometimes. Actually, I think only once I didn't have to.
I had to last week. Again, something I was doing, but
yeah, sometimes. Okay, but really, to be fair, we're knitting, talking, and reading.
Yes. Right? Yes. We're doing all the things. Also ending tomorrow is our self-care KAL, which is on Ravelry.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's been lots of nice things in there.
There are some
wonderful things,
beautiful projects in there. I'm so impressed with all of them. And so we're going to close that thread at midnight tomorrow. I guess I'll be closing that thread because we know Noelle will not be up at midnight.
I can close it at 5 in the morning.
No, I'll lock it at midnight. And then we'll draw the next day, and then we will show the winner on our next podcast, which will be in 2 weeks.
Yep. Oh, Valerie said she's had arthritis since she was 18. Oh, that's not fun.
Well, I'm very proud of you, Valerie, if you can still knit
No
through
kidding. If
that.
you're still knitting that's amazing. And I guess, sometimes you don't take a look at the strain on your joints until you do end up having a problem, and then you look at ways to fix it.
Right.
So, oh, Mary said she's going to be done her sweater
Good.
in time for the KAL. Way to go, Mary. And did you see the one post that was in the knit chat today of the astragal sweater?
No, I didn't go in there yet.
Oh,
But
it was
you know
gorgeous.
what? That sweater is in I've already bought that pattern. I bought it a few months ago. And I love, love, love that sweater. So I'll definitely pop in there today and have a look and
Well,
see.
and she's doing it in
And
hand spun yarn.
I was going to say, I think
Yep.
she spun that herself as well.
Yes, and it was a gorgeous color.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's a beautiful sweater. It really is. Absolutely beautiful.
There's so many sweaters. Like I don't know what to cast on next, because every time I think I've got one that I'm going to cast on next, and then another sweater comes out.
Okay, well then that leads me to a question. I had this question that I had, and then it didn't save under my...
Oh.
Okay, well, I'll just ask it. I was thinking about this last night, and I thought I already had it set up on here, but I do not. So here's the question. Do you knit seasonally, or do you knit like pre-seasonal in anticipation of the season coming? So like in the winter, are you making sweaters for winter, or are you thinking about summer and spring? So are you already making your sweaters ahead of a season to wear then? That's what I was wondering. Because I'm working on a winter sweater now, which clearly I won't be wearing this year. So I'll have that ahead. That wasn't my intention, but I'm wondering if anybody intentionally knits a season ahead.
I'm not that organized, so I do not.
Mary is. She does a bit of both.
I only knit linen or cotton in the summer, because I would prefer to knit with wool. So
all right, so what are you knitting though, say in like August when it's still warm, but you know that
then I'm knitting cardigans. I'm knitting cardigans for fall in wool.
Okay, so you sort of are pre-seasonal then.
I actually don't knit nearly as many warm weather garments as winter garments, fall winter garments. What about you?
Well, I usually start thinking pre-seasonally. Like I've already been thinking, instead of casting on the sweater I cast on this week, I probably should have cast on, I've got a few linen yarns and patterns already chosen. So I should be working on those. But so I think about it, like the thought is there, but somehow I guess I'm just not very good all the time at putting it into action. Wendy intentionally knits ahead. See, I like that.
And Emily says she's just adding linen yarn to her webs cart to start summer knitting.
Okay, this person is after my heart. Miss Sheila, she said it's amazing to her that anyone plans their knitting enough to be seasonal about their knitting. High five, gal. That's me. I think about being organized. I do.
I think about that too. That I want to knit what I want to knit.
Yes.
So, but
I
am planning this year because I'm knitting my Christmas socks ahead of time.
Right.
But that was because someone else started a hashtag in the KAL to do that. It wasn't because I organized it.
But like, I think of it, almost the way retailers, how as soon as Christmas is over and then you'll already see spring things coming into the stores. Not that we see stores right now, but when we were. And then you think, oh my gosh, like Christmas is barely over and they've already got the Easter things out. But, as retailers, they have to be seasonally ahead. And I think that way, like when I'm shopping fabric for making bags, like in the winter, I was already buying spring fabrics in anticipation of knowing what I want to put in the shop. So like I can motivate myself for that, but I can't always seem to do it for the knitwear. Linda does a lot of dishcloths in the summer, and then she starts her sweaters in the fall. Lots of people
Well, I
just sort
must
of,
say, like in the summer, especially if I'm knitting outside, I'm not knitting on a big, heavy woolen garment because it's just too hot to do that, right? But usually I'll have socks on the go all the time
all
because
the
they're
time.
light and easy to knit. Um, but it's hard because like when you talk about seasonally, it's not like you just automatically it's a new season and you can knit, right? If you're going to have linen tops for the summer, you got to start knitting them before summer,
Exactly. Yeah,
right?
that's what
I
I'm
know
getting at.
that, but I would
Pat,
say that usually I'm with Kathy. I just like to knit what I'm in the mood to knit,
okay.
right? Because it's a hobby, right? It's supposed to bring me
Yes.
pleasure, so I want to knit things that are bringing me pleasure.
But wouldn't it bring you pleasure if, like, let's say from January on, you only knit summerish sweaters, and then come spring, you've got this whole wardrobe sitting there ready to go, brand
I
new
know, but I
items.
think I knit with summer type yarns because I want the finished garment. I think I knit with winter type wools and alpaca and that type of stuff because I really like knitting with it.
Okay.
So summer knitting for me would be more of a project knit, and then knitting socks and like woolly sweaters are probably more of a process knit.
Okay. Fair enough.
So
Pat wants to know what you're wearing today, Noelle. Your pink sweater.
this is the Whippet by Ankestrick, and it's done in Debbie Bliss Fine Donegal, and it's old, like it's years old, and it's I love it. So I would actually knit another one of these. So okay, Joan says, well, I shouldn't say Joan. It could be Kevin. I don't know. It says Joan and Kevin. Okay, so Joan or Kevin is doing a sock a month up till June. Oh, that's good. And a dishcloth a week. I tried the dishcloth a week and it didn't last very long. So I tend to, with the dishcloths, do a whole bunch at once. And then I'm tired of dishcloths and put them away for a while. I wanted to do one a month so that or even one a week because it gives you a really nice stash to be able to put together for gifts. And like I think we showed in the one podcast, like some of the cottons are so soft it could actually be a face cloth, and you can put
Right.
them together with a nice bar of handmade soap. Makes a nice gift. And I did do a lot of them last year, but I think so far this year I've only made two.
Well, I was
So,
thinking today I should have thrown a dishcloth on needles because I need some dishcloths in my kitchen. I'm running low.
well, I know I gave most of mine away, so I actually could use a few more myself.
Yeah. And
So
I have several tote boxes of Knit Picks Dishy, best dishcloth material in the world. So I should be knitting that up. And I figured I could quite competently, without having to tear it out, knit a dishcloth during Knit Chat.
yeah, and even if you miss an increase or so, it's a dishcloth,
It won't
right?
matter.
So
The dishes won't care.
no. So Klauska says she agrees with me that she just likes to knit whatever makes you happy in the moment. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's like saying like what's your favorite thing to knit? Like shawls or sweaters or socks or like at one time or another I like it all.
Yeah.
I would say though I have a preference for finer yarns than heavier
Yes.
yarns. Like I would say fingering is probably my favorite weight to knit.
But again, if you're trying to be a product knitter as opposed to a process sometimes, the bulkier yarns, that's where the project's going to be done faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really enjoy working with bulky yarns. I agree with
No,
you.
neither
Like
do
I'm,
I.
even though
I
I'm
don't mind
knitting
if
that
it's just a
sweater,
cowl or something,
yeah,
but it's a lot of heavy weight to do a sweater.
yeah. Well, even though I'm knitting that sweater now, it's a bulky, but again, it's so quick. Like I get through a row
Yeah.
really fast, but
Yep.
at the end of the day, I think my hands just prefer a finer gauge yarn to work with for sure.
I wonder if that's like when you started knitting when like your kids were younger, did you knit with like I know mostly back then I probably knit with worsted weight. I didn't knit a whole lot with finer weight yarn. Like a lot of the patterns that were out for kids
Well, there
sweaters were
weren't
like
any
worsted weight.
finer weight
No, I
yarns that I
know.
knit. Even the socks that I made back then were worsted weight socks. They were like work socks. And for the kids, their sweaters were all either worsted or bulky. right?
Yep. But I remember doing a few pairs of socks back then, and the patterns, the Croy then came in a 3-ply or a 4-ply, and the 3-ply was really fine, but not any different than what we're knitting with now. But I remember at that time thinking, oh, this yarn is just like so skinny and so,
No,
and
I didn't make
now,
socks until this round of knitting. So when the kids were little, no, never small socks. I guess the only fine yarn I used when the kids were little were like baby sweaters, baby
yeah.
blankets, like smaller things.
Well, so do you have a favorite thing to knit, like sweaters or socks or?
I still think it's probably socks. I don't know why. I mean, only I can see them. And
I know, but you
one
can
only
put
needs
so
so
much
many pairs.
variation into them. You can use a yarn that's way wilder than anything that you would put into a sweater, right?
Yes.
And they're just fun. And yeah, I would say it would probably have to be socks.
Sheila has reminded me that winter in Vancouver lasts only a half an hour. Well, let me tell you, Sheila, when the O'Connors are in town, you can have a full week of winter. Every time we go to Vancouver to visit our daughter, I swear we will either have 7 days of rain or 7 days of snowy weather. And if we go, because we go every year for Christmas, and when we get there, we've had some snow at some of the times we've been there, and the kids are like, oh my gosh, we never get snow here. We don't know what's up with this. Like, the O'Connors are in town. It's bound to be 7 days of bad weather.
Yep.
And then the one year that we went, the forest fires were so bad that the day we got there was gorgeous and sunny. And Kendall says, see, Mom, this is what we have all the time. This is what you're missing out on. And by the next day, it was so hazy from the fall or the smoke that we went up to Harrison Hot Springs, and you couldn't even see like across the lake. It was so smoky. So
Emily wanted to know if we've worked with tape yarn like Quince and Co. Kestrel. I've done a sweater in Kestrel. I really like the sweater, and I'm glad I have the finished sweater. It was okay working with it, but it was not my favorite yarn to knit. But I actually do really love the sweater, and it worked up fairly quickly.
But you liked it once you blocked it, right? Like
yes.
the consistency
yes.
of the yarn really changed then.
Well, and even now when I wash it, it kind of like sucks in. But then once you've had it on for about an hour, it just loosens up and has that nice drapey feel to it.
Yeah.
So I love the finished sweater. Love it. It's not my favorite yarn to knit with, but I would actually knit with it again because I like the finished product. So, but I feel like that, like with most linens and cottons, I don't like the feel of it in my hand as much as wool. So
I've been looking at that newest sport.
Yes,
again,
I know.
Sitting there taunting me, thinking I have to find. Also, so in our podcast, the one that we put up this past week, where we were talking about the yarn the wool that we bought in Ireland. There's a cardigan that has been in testers' hands and just went live on Ravelry this week. It's the O Knot cardigan by Taylor
I've
Owen.
seen that one.
And I really, really love the cable detail down the back of that sweater. So after it went live, now that I can see the details of the pattern, because prior to that, I think I watched an episode of The Gentle Knitter, and she had the test sweater that she had made. I'm pretty sure that the yarn I bought in Ireland is going to work for that sweater. I think. I'll have to swatch.
Yep. I think it's Taylor Owen, I think, is the designer.
Taylor Owen.
Yeah. Because there were several different podcasters that were doing test knits for that, and everybody's looked good.
Also,
I think that might work for that, Kelly.
After our podcast this week, about an hour after it went live, I got an Instagram message because I had been talking about the baby llama yarn, and I don't even think it had been up an hour, and I got a message on Instagram that somebody had found the teal color I was wanting at a store in Toronto. You guys are the best. Absolutely the best. So I ordered some, and it's on its way. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It takes a village to knit a pair of mittens, apparently. I've got all of you guys watching out for me.
Right.
Yeah. Did you watch what was it called? The Friendly Giant?
When I was a kid, you mean?
Yes.
Or is there something on now called The Friendly Giant?
No, when you were a kid.
Yes.
You know how at the beginning he would always like say out the names, and then he's got a little spot for you two, and here's a chair,
rocking chair,
and he would say the names, a rocking chair. Mm-hmm. Well, here's the issue: when your name is Kelly, and I'm guessing the same as when your name is Noelle, he's never going to say your name. Never going to say your name. I even had a book. That's what it reminds me. Where I'm going with this, it reminds me of this when we're saying hello at the beginning, and we can see the people checking in and saying hello to us, and we're kind of saying back hi to the names and everything. It always makes me think of that. I used to watch that show and wait. And the other one that was on when I was a little Romper Room. And she had a magic
she never
mirror.
said my name.
She never saw a Kelly in there. Never one time was there a Kelly in there. And then I can remember my parents bought us this, it was a Night Before Christmas book. And in the scene where, there's a picture in there of Santa and he's reading his list and he's checking it twice. There's all of the kids' names on this list, and there was no Kelly. And I just thought, Kelly, I'm never invited to the cool kid parties because clearly my name is never going to show up. But I can remember my dad, he wrote in the book in small letters at the bottom of the list, he wrote a Kelly in there so that I showed up somewhere. Always feel so left out. And you know how it was really trendy when we were kids too. Like you could get like a little license plate for your bicycle or keychains with names. And I would go to these stores like in souvenir shops and they had them on the turnstile. You get to the K's and there were Kathys and there were Karens and there was never a Kelly. Never a Kelly. Tough life.
Yeah.
And I think they've done away with that because I think people have really expanded names today. Like, just couldn't incorporate all of the names.
But now you can get books made and you can have like your child's name put in it so that the story's like basically about them.
Yeah. Well, why wasn't that available when I was a kid?
No, that was not
feeling
available.
Left out, just totally excluded from everything.
So, well, lots of people say that socks are their favorites. I just think it's the portability of it too, right? You can take a pair of socks anywhere and it doesn't involve bringing a whole lot of stuff with you.
That's right. Little bundles travel easy.
Yep.
And they're easy to pull out. Like you can inconspicuously sort of.
And it's easy to
be
do
in a meeting and you could be knitting socks under the table.
Or it's easy just to do a couple of rows and then put it down.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Whereas like a lot of times if you're doing a big shawl, you've got the who knows how many stitches on it by the time you get towards the end of it.
Right. And often with socks, you won't need the pattern, especially if you're, just doing a basic sock.
Yeah. So
Sarah, the yarn was not on clearance, wasn't on sale. In fact, it was actually, to be truthful, it was almost twice the price of what it was here in Sarnia. But I bought 3 skeins of it anyway, because even at twice the price, it was still such beautiful yarn. And at $15 a skein, it's still, I didn't feel that was an outrageous price.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it'll be some pretty nice gifts to make for Christmas too. Unless you're going to make yourself like 5 or 6 pairs of the mitts. Well, but like a pair of fingerless mitts makes a nice gift, right? Because it's like sizing is pretty easy.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it is gorgeous yarn. Like they feel like a luxurious pair of.
They feel so luxurious.
Yep.
So luxurious.
Sarah says she's an elementary school teacher. I bet there's a lot of unique names and spellings. Like Olivia spelled Aliviya. Like, give the child something easy to learn to spell. I mean, it's nice to have unique names. I guess when I was naming my kids, I never thought about them writing it out in school and whether they were going to have a problem with that or not.
I didn't think our kids had such unique names, but I can guarantee you that when they went to school, neither of them ever had to put a last name on any paper they ever wrote because their names were unique. Nobody else had their names. And I can remember one time when Kendall was maybe 5, we were out shopping, and she had asked if she was in the toy aisle, and she wanted to look at something, and I was just further down the aisle a little bit. I think it was in a Zeller's store, and all of a sudden I heard another woman say Kendall, and what? Who knows my kid's name? And it's instantly on high alert. Like, why would somebody know her, and why are they calling her? But this lady had a daughter named Kendall too. Obviously not in the same school, but the one and only time I ever heard that name. And Damon, I don't think there were definitely no other Damons in the school. He was one of a kind. Louise has been called Lois her whole life.
Oh, Lois. I get called Nicole. So, and
my husband calls you Nicole.
My husband calls
you. We talked to Nicole today. I'm like, her name is Noelle. And
like, I don't even think the two names are similar.
No, I know. But also when we were naming our kids, I wanted to have names that couldn't be shortened because like Kendall, nobody like some people jokingly will call her Ken or Kenny, but Damon, there's no real way to shorten that either. So their name is their name. Because I know me, like, I don't think my husband has ever one time said the word Kelly. He has called me Kel since he's met me. And I'm okay with that. But I just think, if you have a name, sometimes it's kind of nice to have the name, right?
Yep.
But Classical wants to know if we buy knit picks from the States, or is there a place in Canada? There is not. If you are buying knit picks, then that is coming from the US, and they do have some free shipping options if you spend over a certain amount. I think it's either $65 or $75.
Well, to Canada. Is that Canada. The same? Yeah, I don't know if it is to anywhere else.
Right. I don't know what it is internationally. I'm not sure where she's reaching out from. But so usually when I shop at KnitPicks, I make sure that I hit that minimum.
I make sure wherever I'm shopping, I hit that minimum.
But it's a pretty small minimum. It is. It's a small minimum.
It is, yeah.
$65 or $75. Yep. It doesn't take long to get there. I know, like some other stores, they'll say, well, their shipping minimum is $150 or $200. That's a little more, right?
No, but then and we've done it in the past. We'll try to, a couple of people go together and put in an order.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Klaska says she's in Calgary. I think you can order it. I think the shipping was to Canada, right? I don't think it necessarily has to be Ontario.
No, it's to Canada for sure.
Canada, yeah.
And it's very quick shipping. And Mary points out there's a flat rate to Canada as well. So, I mean, if you only have a few things to order, and even their flat rate, I want to say it was either $7.99 or $11.99 is sort of sticking in my head. It's not outrageous by any means. So Linda said there were always 7 or 8 Lindas in her classes growing up. See, Linda, I bet you Linda had every personalized label she could get when she was younger. Linda would have had every opportunity to have personalized objects. And I'll bet her name got called at Romper Room and the Friendly Giant.
Yep.
So there's benefits, Linda. Benefits.
Well, even when people got my name right, they spelled it wrong. So,
well, they would
even if I didn't get called Nicole, I got Noelle spelled Nowel.
Oh, really? I would think that they would just leave off the LE at the end.
Oh, that too. 3 teachers named Sarah.
One of my co-workers, he was saying in his son's class at school, I don't remember what the name was, but there were 3 of that name And imagine, like, if those kids stay in the same
Together.
geographical area where they're growing up. So they had, like, I don't know what the name was. It was a boy's name. So let's say it was Michael. So they had a Michael A, a Michael M, and a Michael D or something. It was just cute. It was really cute. And so he said they're going to be known as that their whole lives.
Well, when I had Jacqueline, her name wasn't going to be Jacqueline. It was going to be Stephanie. And then 2 people in our prenatal class had their babies first and called them Stephanie. I'm like, okay, that change that.
Well, you kind of said something earlier about names that are easier to spell. Jacqueline would not have been an easy name to learn.
But it's just Jaclyn. She doesn't spell it Jacqueline.
Oh, okay.
So it's just
Okay.
Jaclyn.
Yeah.
And her second name's Anne.
Marianne got into trouble for printing her name on the wall. She asked her mom, how do you know it's me? And she said, because you can't spell your brother's name.
That's funny.
That's good. When we moved out of our house, I found out that Kendall had written notes inside of her closet.
Wow.
There's all sorts of little autographs and things that she had written inside of her closet that I didn't realize. Yeah, Jacqueline said there were no nameplates for her either.
Well, no, especially because even if there was a Jacqueline, it was never spelled her way.
No, absolutely.
And actually, then my first son was Curtis, spelled with a K. Could never find that either.
Nope.
But then I had a Jamie, a Daniel, and a Mark. They could all find theirs.
Yes, much easier.
And now I'm not even sure what the popular names are.
I don't know.
Like, I don't think Zoe is. I don't think. But I don't know because I'm not in a kindergarten class. Now, one of my granddaughters is Isla, and apparently that is a very popular name in the UK. But I haven't heard it that much here.
We also should touch on the new KAL that's starting on April the 1st, the Rising Stars.
Okay.
Because I did get a couple of messages about this on Instagram after our podcast as well. So the Rising Stars make along is to highlight the designers that maybe don't have as large a pattern library or maybe are new to designing, so their patterns have less followers and less projects. So we would like you to choose a project that has less than 30, choose a pattern that has less than 30 projects if you're purchasing it from Ravelry, just to shine the spotlight on those designers. There are a lot of great patterns out there. In fact, the Celtic knot sweater that I'm making, very well written, and I think there were only four projects of the sweater. And like for a sweater that is so detailed with the cabling, very well written, and I'm enjoying it very much. So we wanted to highlight those designers, and so that starts on April the 1st, and it's going to run through April and May. And it's just that the project has to have at least 50 grams of yarn in it. Is that what we said?
But it can be, but it could be sock, shawl, sweater.
Yeah.
Baby sweater.
It can be anything.
Yeah.
Anything. And it can be knit or crochet or, so we thought that might be a fun idea. And we will have on April 1st, we'll open up a group in our Ravelry for that so that you can post. We'll do a chatter and a finished object again. And we don't know yet what the prize is going to be. It's to be determined.
Yep.
But it'll be good. All prizes are good, right? It's so fun to win a prize.
Yeah, I've been going through and looking at, because I went through my favorites, and I've actually got quite a few favorited that haven't had that many projects made, and they're gorgeous patterns. So Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So,
Sarah says that the Starship song Sarah was all over the radio, so embarrassing. Well, Sarah, I can do you one better. My middle name is Roxanne, and if I had a nickel for every person who, once they found out, sang the song Roxanne to me by the police, just rolls off the tongue.
well, how do you think it feels being called Noelle at Christmas?
Exactly.
It's like,
Exactly.
I got serenaded all the time at Christmas.
Also, here in Courtright, the what's it even called? This is the exchange when you do a phone number, but we all know
Yes.
the song from the 80s, 8675309.
What was it? Yeah.
Jenny, I've got your number. Okay, so the Courtright exchange is 867, and my husband said that when that song was popular and he was growing up in Courtright, that he knew the family that had that number that had to have it
Oh, that
changed.
must have been awful.
And somebody would call all the time, and of course, you know, the big gag was, "Yeah, can I talk to Jenny?" Sarah already has a pattern. Sarah,
Oh, good. Well, don't share it, Sarah, because we might all make it, and then there'll be more than 30.
that's right. Keep it secret. Well, hopefully, once the finished objects go up, because
Well, we
that's
should
what-
say
I've-
there has to be less than 30 when you start it.
when you start it. Yes. Yeah. But hopefully, like, I know that I've pulled lots of patterns from our make-alongs that we've already hosted, socks and items in the self-care. So hopefully it will bring some attention, and you know, once, because I know sometimes that's exactly how it is. Like, I'll see a pattern that I may not be sure of, but then I'll look. First thing I do is I look at projects and I see what everybody else's looks
Yep.
like. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I really like it. Or I'll look at yarns and see what
Yeah.
everybody else has used for yarns.
Because sometimes you may not necessarily like the initial pictures on like the first page of Ravelry, but if you go in and look and see what other people have made it in, because everybody's taste is different, so there might be, you just may not be drawn to a specific color that the
Right.
sweater's done in, but if you see it done in something else, you might really like it. Like I mean, anything that's on there that's pink, I'm drawn to, but then I have to go in and really look at the sweater and think, do I like the yarn because it's pink, or do I like the sweater?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, oh, Sarah's not telling us.
Good, Sarah.
Well, she'll have to tell us eventually, right?
So somebody's wondering if they can do a search for for those with little project pages. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's possible.
Well, I know that you can go in and do a search for like most popular. So I don't know if you can do least popular.
I don't know.
Because you can go in and and there's like one, oh well, yeah, there actually is. You can go in and put like most projects, but I don't know if you can.
But is there a least projects?
But I don't.
Sure.
But if you do that, I wonder if you go all the way through to the very last page of it, whether those gives you ones with the fewest projects. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I also know. Let me see if I can find it really quick. There's something that pops up on Ravelry.
Oh, that's right. There's a new one, right? New pattern releases.
Yeah, new pattern releases, and they often will sort of choose. I don't know if it's going to come up on my iPad or if it's just going to come up when I'm on a computer.
I think it's on the very first page.
Oh,
and
yeah, it's called
Yep.
Spotlight Debut Patterns. So these are for designers that it's their first ever pattern, and it's right. Get some brightness here so you can see. So right here, right there, debut patterns, and it's a spotlight on them. So those are all new designers, and it's often, and then it says you can actually view all spotlight debut patterns.
Okay.
So there you go. So like if I click, I'm just going to click on the first one. It has 3 projects, and it's a beautiful pair of socks. It's called Hope Springs Eternal, right? So these will pop up. So that's a great question. Great question. and that we found the answer to.
And Sarah did say if you go to most popular, and once you go in, like go pages in, you'll start finding patterns that have fewer
With
projects.
fewer, right,
So,
right. Yeah. But there's honestly some of my most loved things that I've made have come from a pattern that only had a few projects. And as I said, solid designers, just because they're not somebody that has, an entire portfolio of very popular patterns does not mean that it is not well written. So Marianne still quoting songs from the 80s, More Than a Feeling. I see Marianne walking away. Yeah. There we go. Perfect. And there's a town in Manitoba that has the same phone number. And I went on, I took enough care to find out one time why they chose that number. And I went on to like a behind the lyrics or whatever and see what I could figure out. And they just said, well, it just seemed to go, the numbers sounded good together. They meant nothing. But I'm guessing that the people who lived here in Courtright that had that number, boy, when that song came out,
I bet they were not too happy.
Not thrilled.
So Marianne thinks it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea too to get newer designers, right? Like I don't know, how are you going to, unless people start knitting them, no one's really going to know about them.
Well, I'm just thinking, okay, there's a lot of work that goes into designing a pattern, and then you'll send it out to be tech edited,
right,
or knit up by some test knitters. And I think if you're a new designer, very likely that test knitter might be yourself making it 3 times, or it might be encouraging your friends to help you out with that. And then I think about the courage that it kind of takes to put yourself out there in the world. If you're a newer designer and you're thinking, well, will somebody like it? Won't they like it? Or and how exciting that must be when they make their first few sales from that pattern. And then how exciting to see something that you've put your time and effort into creating, to see how others interpret it and to see them wearing it. Like I know for myself as a bag maker, when people send me pictures, like after they've ordered bags, and when they send me pictures of the bag in the wild doing all the nitty things, like it just gives me joy, especially, like if it's, I've sent bags to so many places in the world. And then when they send back a picture and they're loving the bag or they're enjoying the bag and using it. And I just think, isn't that special? Like something that took me time and a thought process to put together down here in my sew studio in Courtright, and that somebody else somewhere is enjoying. It just brings me joy. It makes me, just really share the work that I put into that somebody else is enjoying it. It really makes your heart feel good. And so I like to do that with the designers, and I know how exciting it must be when they get a pattern sale and when they see those numbers crawling up in their designs. And so I thought, let's highlight them. And let's show them some love. At the end of the day, be kind. You can be anything, but be kind. We will not go into details about this, but we had our first negative interaction, and it went on for several comments. We did not respond. They even named us, like gave us some new names. Blondie and dark hair. That's as far as I'm going.
I bet you don't find those on a little license plate either. Right.
And I woke up to that and I thought, wow, why? Just why? What did we ever do? Like, we're doing this. We're just trying to grow our own little community in our little knitting part of the world. And we are so grateful for the interactions and the kind comments that we've had from everybody. And then you get something negative thrown at you. And it was first thing in the morning. And I thought, you could choose to be anything today. Please choose to be kind. And if we're not for you, and I expect we are not for everybody, just turn us off. Just be kind. Be kind. Yeah.
Well, we're not talking to anybody that's here today. They're all wonderful.
Yes, everybody here is wonderful.
So
what's everybody else up to? Dyeing yarn while we chat. Thanks for the company. You are so welcome.
So not a Yarny says she has a podcast too, and she's been told she talks too much. So I don't know if you do a podcast and just go.
Okay, so do you have a partner? Sorry, I don't know your name. Naughty Yarny, we don't know your name. But do you have a partner or do you podcast by yourself? Because I'm wondering why somebody would question that you talk too much if you're podcasting by yourself. Is that not the goal? Like, radio silence would not be pleasant. Sheila says podcasters are brave to put themselves out there. Just remember everybody else. Oh, thank you, Sheila. And it is true.
Thank you.
The first time we did that,
her name's Barb, and she's alone.
Of nerves. Barb, and she's alone. Well, Barb, please keep talking. Otherwise, it'd be a pretty quiet podcast. But it's hard. It's hard to put yourself out there. And like when Noelle asked me to step in for her daughter, I was very happy. And you know what? There is a sense of safety and security too when you're with another person beside you. It's always easier to do things in pairs. I will admit to that. So now that we're podcasting separate, it just feels strange to be sitting down here in my basement.
Well, it is, but at least we're still. At least we're still. I can't imagine. I honestly can't imagine sitting down and just doing one by myself.
It would be really hard.
Like talking to myself.
Going. And I can talk a lot, but I would still find it really hard. So I have huge props to anybody that can do that together by themselves. And I know that when I suggested doing these lives, Noelle was, no, it's terrifying. And we love the lives. Like, we enjoy putting our podcast together too, but I have to say, like, I look forward all week long to our lives because I feel like we really are building a community. And I look so forward to seeing. I do
now. I got to admit, the first one I felt like I was going to throw up before we started. But now it's all good. It's all good. Like I said, we just have to look at it like we're going to the coffee shop with our knitting friends.
Absolutely.
Fiber friends. So
fiber friends, yes.
Yeah. So people that get us.
Well, Barb says it only takes one to ruin our day. I will say, Barb, that didn't ruin my day that day. It definitely didn't ruin my day, but it certainly made me pause and think about why someone would make so many efforts to ruin somebody's day when all they could have given a thumb down. They could have just shut the podcast off. Again, we're not for everybody. We try to
feel that someone that has to do that cannot be a very happy person.
No.
So.
And again, if you choose to be anything, be kind. It's my motto. Just be kind.
Yep.
It's so much easier to be kind. It takes way less effort to say a nice word than to think up some mean thoughts and get them out of your mouth. I truly believe that. Just be kind.
Oh. So. Renee says she's from Sweden and when she's knitting and listening, and we're her knitting group. Yay. I mean, how else would we ever be able to connect with people all over the world other than doing this?
Exactly. And that's exactly how, I spend my time down here when I'm down here in my sew studio and I'm working, I'm down here by myself. There might be a cat, but I'm usually down here by myself, and I have a TV in the corner, and that TV is on all the time, and it's just rolling podcast after podcast after podcast. And it's not always that I'm sitting there like watching, but you are definitely my company because it's other people talking. And then when I really like, my ears pick up on something that I really want to tune into, and I keep a notebook handy if somebody recommends something that I like, I'm always jotting it down. And seriously, it takes hours away, or not hours, no, that's not the word I'm looking for, but it makes the time go quicker, because it really is just as if I'm sitting down here with some friends and they're chatting. And usually podcasters, we're all sort of in our intimate settings or in our home, and it's just a fun way to spend some time. Mm-hmm. And then you feel like you know them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, right? I mean, I'm looking forward to when we can actually go out and go to places again, because I would love to meet some of the people that we're talking to.
Me too.
So
me too. I can't wait until we can
all those places. We're going to look you up.
We may not get to Australia, but we'd like to.
Oh, Belgium. We're going to Belgium to visit Marion.
Okay. Yes. Marion says it keeps her motivated to knit. And you know what? I agree with you 100%, Marion. That was another thing too. If I wasn't sewing and I have a podcast on sometimes in the evening, when I am doing my knit time, sometimes I just have podcasts on my iPad, and it inspires me, and it gives me some new ideas, techniques I want to try, new things I want to learn.
Well, I know if
And
it wasn't for the knit chat we had about the Norwegian pearl and that, I never would have gone and tried it. And it was like, I
no,
actually really liked it. And I am probably going to incorporate it into my regular knitting. So
and I go back to when I was a solitary knitter, like many, many years ago. I did not ever think that knitting was something that you did as a group. Knitting is what you do at home by yourself. And we didn't have the internet. We didn't have access to all of the technology that we have today. I think we are in a very fortunate time to enhance our skills. And
yeah.
I think we're all the better for it.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how long you've been knitting for or what you knit, or there is always something new to learn. Always.
Mm-hmm.
So, I
And
mean, do you
exactly.
remember like when we were knitting years ago with our kids, there was no brioche,
No,
like that's been new. So there's always something to learn. And it just, I don't know. I think it helps to keep you young to learn new things all the time.
it does. I think if you're learning, your brain is staying more active.
Yep.
And I don't think that you're ever at a point where you have nothing left to learn. I've said that my whole life too. Everybody has more things that they can still learn.
Yeah.
And Sarah, I echo that too. She said she's knit for a long time, but she said she's learned more in the past few years
Mm-hmm.
from watching podcasts than she
Yep.
has in the previous 20. Exactly. That sums it up perfectly. So lots of comments just came in. I'm just trying to catch up.
I know. Oh, Lisa would like us to come to Australia. I would love to go everywhere. I would love to meet everybody.
I know. That's what I said. It would be the traveling yarn show. I would be happy to just travel, and we could do this podcast from all over the
Well,
place.
remember there used to be that show that I used to watch because I said that was my lifelong dream job, was the Thirsty Traveler. I used to go to all different places and try all the beers and drink. We could be the nitty traveler, the woolly traveler.
I don't know if I like the way that sounds.
Okay, we're done. Okay, maybe not woolly.
It sounds like we're in need of a shave.
I shaved my legs the other day.
Spring is here. It's time to shed that winter hair. Oh my gosh.
And
We
I
digress
shaved them.
again.
I said, maybe I could spin this. Anyway.
Seriously.
Okay. Too much information. I know, but I have to tell this one story because, like, a lot of times in the winter, I don't know about you, but a lot of times in the winter, the shaving of the legs gets skipped a little bit.
I need the extra insulation, okay?
I
have very little body hair. I'm not taking it off.
We have a hot tub, so Ross and I were out in the hot tub one night. He's like feeling my leg, and he goes, "Is that my leg or yours?" That's when you know it's time to shave your leg.
Oh dear.
Anyway, again, too much information. So, anyway, I mean, and that was the really nice thing about going to, like, when we used to go to Woodstock, you would see a lot of people that you knew, or like, I mean, I hadn't been doing a podcast for very long, but it was really neat when someone would come up and they know you because they recognize you,
right?
But you wouldn't necessarily. But then you just fell into a conversation so easily.
That's right.
Right, because you've got things in common. So
there are no strangers in the knitting world. There are just knitting friends that we haven't met yet.
That's right.
Right?
Yep. Well, look, we only met a couple of years ago.
I know, and I feel like I've known you forever. I say that in a good way.
Oh, no, I know. I feel the same way. Like,
it's just funny how, everybody's life journey is different. But when you, and I've said this for a long time too, knitting and yarn, any crafting really, it's like a universal language because you can be anywhere. I know, like, when I travel and I'm sitting in an airport and I'm knitting, I can guarantee somebody is coming up to me to say, oh my goodness, that's beautiful. What are you working
Yes.
on? Like
Yep.
it's a conversation sparker, and people are just,
And you
I
never
don't
know
know, there's
who you might talk to at the subway in New
no
York
in a subway in New York. That's
to
right.
a
You just
guy.
don't know. Yeah, you just don't know.
We should show that little video clip sometime.
We should. Noelle teaching a stranger to knit in the subway. That was such a fun trip. Well,
Yeah.
aside from some of the sick things that happened, but
Yeah.
the trip
Oh well.
itself, and I look forward to going back. We had so much fun we had more fun
Going to
going
Columbus.
to no, I'm going to say in New York we had more fun. Instead of just going to the big show, we went to the smaller
Yeah.
yarn stores. We sat, we knit, we got to know the people who were in the shop, the dogs that were in the shop.
Yep.
We got to know, and their stories, and truly that's what I love learning about, is everybody's stories, because everybody got here for different reasons. Some of them, they had parents who taught them, or grandmas that taught them, and now I think knitting has become, it's almost cool to be a knitter, dare I say. Like, we are not just the grannies with two sticks and thread anymore. We are now the cool people that people want to know. And you see all ages knitting. And I don't know why it ever had to be set apart, that you had to be this certain stereotype to have an interest, because it's fun. And why wouldn't you want to have something going on with your hands? Like,
Yeah.
keep yourself active and thinking and working. So, well, we're killing Sarah. She says, oh my God, she's dying. Marion says, hopefully we can meet at festivals. Absolutely.
Yeah. I would love to.
I would love to meet people at festivals. Yep. And the nice thing I will say about the lives, as opposed to the interactions that I've had with people on Instagram, is on the lives, often it's your actual names. And I feel on Instagram, because we all have our handles on Instagram, that's how I know people. Like, half the time I really think my name is The Tangled Stitch instead of Kelly. Like, it's just, I get so used to saying it. And so on here, on the lives, we're actually seeing some people's names.
People's names, yeah, it's nice.
Try to retain that. And
Yep.
if you are ever in a place that you see me, grab me and tell me that.
Or me, like, come and say hi, come and talk.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be the people with our knitting, probably, and
That's
hopefully
right.
You will be too.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm really hopeful that Woodstock is going to happen this October, because I said, what would it take to get me back to a yarn festival?
By then.
Yes, but it will just be so nice to see people, and I have honestly I've made friends in 10-minute meetings at festivals that I'm still in touch with, and
Yep.
It's been great.
Yeah,
it's been great.
Oh.
It was definitely hard to take this leap of faith and get out and to attempt, the podcast world. But honestly, I feel like what we've gotten back already has been tenfold of what we put out. Like the friendships that we've made and the interactions, and just the niceness, the kindness of people. Because it is. There's some work that goes into it for sure, and some planning, and it's nice to hear that it's appreciated. So, yeah. Okay.
Well, it's 3:30 here, so we probably should.
Yeah, we've been long today, hour and a half.
Oh, Barb, naughty Yarnies is Barb. Yeah, and even in when you put stuff in Ravelry or whatever, like sometimes people's Ravelry names are there and you don't have the real name. And when I respond, I kind of like to.
I like to know the name. I try. Like, yeah. Yeah. And Mary is talking about at Knit City, and yes, Mary, because I was there a couple of years ago and had full intentions. In fact, I was going to take Noelle. I said, we'll just stay at my daughter's. I said, you come too. And so she was going to come with us this time. And that was my first big festival, and I loved it. I thought it was really well done. Marion has tried twice to go to Shetland Wool Week.
And it was canceled, yeah.
Oh, hi, Shirley.
Hi, Shirley. Oh, Catherine says she
sits under the Blue Water Bridge.
We do that.
We do that too.
So if you see us, come and knit with us.
Yes. Absolutely.
Well, we do that when the weather's nicer. There might be people there today.
Oh, I think it might be cool under the bridge still. But I almost debated, was it warm enough that I could set up outside today? But it's just not quite. And then I'd have to figure out a whole list of other things. And I think some of the neighbors are all out trying to get yard work done. Nobody needed to hear that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. You can get outside and then somebody starts up a lawnmower or.
Right, right.
Oh.
So I didn't do very well. In an hour and a half, I did not even do one square.
Oh, I just started
what I
this
did.
today. I just started this, like I had the toe done, but that's not bad.
That's not bad. And is it right? Or do you have to take it apart?
No, I didn't do anything wrong. And it's dark yarn. So.
Well, I've got some work to do. I've got some
Anyway.
things
Yeah,
to
thank you
photograph.
so much,
I've got
everybody.
bags that I'm putting in the shop today. Did you see this one?
Oh, pretty.
And
That's like mine, but different.
like yours, but different. I did a couple that are, there's another one that's similar, but it's
Yeah, they're
using
pretty.
the, just the different angles of stripes. And then I've got this one too, which had the birds.
Oh, you had a little bit of the bird fabric still there.
Yeah, and so I
Yeah,
quilted
that's
that
pretty.
in with some gray. It's pretty, but anyway, so I have to get those things photographed, get them listed in the shop, and carry on. And I'm making homemade burgers and homemade fries tonight for dinner on the barbecue
Sounds good.
because it's so nice. So, thank you, Klaska. And I hope that we're saying that right. That's another thing. Please, if
If
we
we're
are
not,
mispronouncing your name, I'm not offended if you type in a better pronunciation. I'm apologize. I'm trying to include everybody. And if there's some people that we've missed today, and if you still had questions or comments, you can either put them underneath. This
Or
will
put them in the
stay-
Ravelry knit chat. There's
or
a
put them in the
group
Ravelry,
for the knit
or
chat
reach
in
out to us on
Ravelry. So
Instagram. And hopefully we didn't miss anybody. We've
Shirley
so
wants to know,
enjoyed
is there a
spending
limit to
some
how many project bags we should have? No. No limit. As many as
No.
many as you have yarn to fill.
That's right. As many as you have projects to put in. So thank you so much
Yeah.
for spending some of your Sunday with us. We've had a great time again.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Next
We'll
Sunday.
be back next Sunday, which is the 28th of March, same time. And yeah. So we said.
Yeah. So in the
Tangled
meantime,
Stitching
like
on
don't
Instagram.
forget the hashtag on Instagram. So put whatever you're working on, your knit chat projects or just whatever you're doing. And yeah, we'll talk to you next week.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks
Happy
everybody.
making.
Yeah. Bye.